Read Woke Take 2. Welcome to the Dear Read Woke podcast. I am Anaya Brianna, a junior here at Meadow Creek High School. As many of you know, I am a library science student here as well. This is a podcast where we discuss books that challenge the social norm, give voice to the voiceless, provide information about a group that has been disenfranchised, seek to challenge the status quo, and have a protagonist from an underrepresented or oppressed group. Our librarian started this challenge last year in the midst of many issues that were affecting the students at our school and across the world. Now the Read Woke Challenge has gone viral and libraries across the world have implemented the challenge in their schools. In today's episode, we are going to talk to Miss Cicely Lewis, our school librarian, and one of the participants in the program, Tarika. Welcome to Dear Read Woke.
Hi. So glad to be here today on your podcast.
All right. So I have a question for you, Miss Lewis. What has been the impact of Read Woke?
Well, it has had a global impact. We have teachers and librarians across the United States implementing the programs, and we also have a Canada Read Woke, and now we have a Read Woke UK. So I'm so excited, and if anybody who's listening goes online and you just Google Read Woke, or if you go under the hashtag Read Woke on any social media site, you can see all the great things that teachers and librarians are doing, displays, prizes, and so it has really had a global impact. And I'm most excited about the impact it has had locally because many of the Gwinnett County library media specialists have also signed up to implement the program in their school, and I think that's the biggest compliment of all. So that's been the impact.
All right. Tell us about how Read Woke has impacted you, Tarika.
Read Woke has impacted me in the way that it's broadened my horizons. I was exposed to a lot of things that I don't normally get exposed to in my, my classroom assignments or when I just read books, that are just on display.
Okay. And can you tell us what your favorite Read Woke book is and why?
Well, that's a hard question. If I were to say my favorite Read Woke book would probably be Moxie and I forgot the other book.
And I know she loved The Hate U Give. She's always talking about that book.
The Hate U Give is a good
And that was one of my favorites as well. And I also like Moxie. It was a great story about feminism in the high school. And
I also like Pride. It talked about you had new people who were trying to rebuild the ghetto, and you were introducing these new type of people who were not exposed to the culture of these places, and they were adapting to these new people, and the new people were adapting to this new culture.
Yes, and gentrification is a really big issue in a lot of impoverished neighborhoods. Many people feel like they're taking their home away from them because once the rich move in, the poor people can no longer afford to stay there, and these are their homes. And that was the sentiment of the protagonist Zuri in Pride, which was written by E.B. Savoy. And one thing I really like about Pride, and I'm so glad Tarika mentioned it, is that it's a remix to one of my favorites, Pride and Prejudice. So I think in addition to educating students about class and social issues, it also provides students an opportunity to make a connection with a classic text that they might not feel comfortable doing. And I like all the books Tarika mentioned, and in addition to that, I would say that I also like Renee Watson's Piecing Me Together. Actually had the opportunity to be Renee Watson and Ellen Hagen, they co-wrote the book, and I had the pleasure and the honor of being on a panel with them in New York for the School Library Journal. And I feel like these books, and this book will come out in February, so everybody make sure you get Watch Us Rise. And I just feel like these books really help to add to the conversation and help students to learn and also to empower students.
I want to say one more thing about Pride. One of the reasons why I liked it so much was because, the Turner Field, the old baseball field, is that it was turned into a college's football field. And basically everyone who was living in those surrounding areas, they're going to have to eventually move out because, real estate is, their prices for houses and, buying property is rising, and I have a friend who's actually living there, and she's having, to make the decision, her and her family, to, whether they're going to stay and, take on more jobs or go ahead and leave.
Powerful comment.
All right, Tarika, what advice would you give to students considering taking the challenge?
I say go for it. You never know what's out there. And there are so many topics, so many things you never thought there was a book for it. And when you start reading about something like that, it's awakening, it's really, really inspiring.
I totally agree. And one thing about Tarika that we didn't mention, I want everybody to know, is that she has surpassed the expectations of the Read Woke Challenge. So just to give you a little background about the Read Woke Challenge, students have to read at least 4 books, and then they're quizzed on these books. They have to participate in a panel discussion where we have a guest speaker from the community, and they have to do other activities. And the students, once they complete this, they get a free T-shirt. They get their page on our social. They get their picture on our social media page. They get free books from the Bookmobile, and we have author visit opportunities. And Tarika has read from the first. She completed the challenge last year, and she completed again this year. So she's read all of the books that we have listed and more. So I just wanted to say that I think you're so amazing, and congratulations to you. And I really, really have enjoyed working with her. And she's also helping to get more students signed up for the program. So shout out to you, Tarika.
So speaking of getting people signed up, would you recommend Read Woke?
Yes, all the way. Like I said before, you never know what's out there. And a lot of times, my peers, people our age, they don't like to read because they're like, oh, books are boring. Mm-hmm. And when you find a book, they're like, oh, this person's just like me.
Yes,
they're doing the same things I'm doing. They're like, like The Hate U Give. This book is almost 300 pages, mm-hmm. and you would never, the amount of people who check out that book, because it's crazy, and they'll complain about I don't want to read this book, and it's only 100 pages. Mm-hmm. The Hate U Give is 300 pages, and it's so yes, and yes.
And to add to that, I totally agree with Tarika. The Hate U Give, we have not been able to keep it in, along with Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and so many other books. Jason Reynolds' Long Way Down, I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica Sanchez. And many, like Tarika said, many people say, oh, kids don't read, or I hate reading. But once they get these books, they start reading. And so it's a gateway to bridging this gap with these reluctant readers who don't want to read or who haven't found the right book. And I always tell students that when they say, oh, I don't like to read, and I say, you just haven't found the right book. Mm-hmm. And so I would highly encourage every student listening, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't attend Meadow Creek, talk to your teacher and your librarian media specialist and ask them to start the Read Woke program. And also to the teachers and librarians listening, please, please, please implement the program, and you can reach out to me and I will be happy to support you, because these books do open up a conversation and a dialogue. And I wanted to share another story. We did a Read Woke book tasting with a class, and we had a student, and he looked like he was on a football team. He had his jersey on, and we had the book section off by category, but we didn't tell the student which social justice issue it was. And so he just so happened to be sitting at the LGBTQ table, and he picked up Being Jazz by Jazz Jennings, and he we have them taste the book, which means read the first page, read the back of the book, look at the cover. And after he had done that, he said, wow, he said, it must be really hard having to go through something like this. And that's what he said about the teen. And I just really, thought that was powerful, that he actually had empathy, or, for the character, and, just was trying to understand the struggle. And so I feel like that's what it's all about, connecting these kids with these stories. And in addition to finding themselves in the book, learning about other people in the book too, other cultures too in the book. Mm-hmm. So it's a great opportunity for everybody.
That's amazing. So does anybody have any last comments on Read Woke?
Oh yes, so this is our first podcast, our first episode. It's called Dear Read Woke because we're going to have students writing letters, and write your letters in and tell us about your experience with Read Woke, or if you have questions about Read Woke, or if you need a book about a certain topic that falls under the category. And if we choose your letter, we'll read it online and share it, and we will recommend some great books to you. So you can email us. Or you can actually send it to us via social media on our Instagram page at MHS Media Center. You can direct message us and send those to us.
All right. Thank you for listening to our podcast.
Thank you for having us
today.
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed being here. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to be here again soon.
And I can't wait to find out how you feel about the books you've been reading too, Anaya. I know you're the host, but you've also been reading a lot of books too. Yeah. So
all right, thank you guys for listening.
Join us for our next episode next time.
Yep.